everyone, welcome back to Jikook Universe. Not long ago, Jimin once again shared a series of behind-the-scenes photos from the Swim project. As expected, the post immediately caught the attention of fans all over the world. The atmosphere was calm, aesthetic, and filled with a soft warmth. Nothing seemed unusual at first glance. It looked like a simple, thoughtful documentation of a project he genuinely cared about. But among those photos, one image slowly began to stand out. A picture of a rainbow. At first, it appeared to be just a beautiful scene, soft colors stretching across the sky, creating a peaceful and comforting mood. But in fandom spaces, especially for those who have followed every little detail for years, simplicity often hides something deeper. And this time it really did. The longer people looked at the photo, the more something felt off. Behind the rainbow there were two faint figures. Not clear. Not obvious. So subtle that they could easily be missed if you weren't paying close attention. Just shadows, barely their silhouettes blending into the background. But precisely because they were so subtle, their presence felt unusual, almost intentional. And almost instantly, one question began circulating. Were those two figures Jimin and Jungkook? In the world of Jikook, coincidences are rarely seen as just coincidences. Every corner of a frame, every reflection, every tiny shadow can become a clue. And this image felt like a puzzle piece that was left deliberately incomplete. Speculation quickly followed. Fans began analyzing the smallest details of the two figures. One appeared to have dark hair and seemed to be wearing multiple earrings, a look often associated with Jungkook, who is known for his love of layered piercings. The other figure seemed to have lighter hair, possibly blonde, partially hidden under a cap. Around the time the photo was posted, Jimin was indeed blonde. For many, the resemblance felt too strong to ignore. But what made this situation even more intriguing wasn't just who might be in the photo. It was why they were there. If that part of the image didn't matter, why not crop it out completely? Why leave it in the frame even if only slightly, almost hidden? Those questions opened the door to another possibility, that maybe, just maybe, it was meant to stay. To some, this might sound like overanalyzing. But for longtime fans, reading between the lines has always been part of the experience. Understanding what isn't said, noticing what's barely shown, and finding meaning in the smallest details. It's nothing new. And Jimin, in particular, is known for being selective about what he shares. He isn't someone who posts without thought. Every image often feels intentional or at least carefully considered. That's why when something feels slightly different, people notice. And then there's the rainbow itself. Symbolically, rainbows are often associated with hope, healing, and beauty after a storm. Sometimes they even represent deep emotional connections. In this context, the idea of two figures standing beneath a rainbow seems almost poetic, especially for those who choose to see more than just the surface. Of course, not everyone agrees. Some believe this is simply a case of fans reading too much into something ordinary. And honestly, that possibility is always there. Not everything has a hidden meaning. But what's interesting is that the conversation didn't stop at the photo. It expanded into a broader discussion about Jimin and Jungkook's dynamic, and how their relationship is perceived within the fandom. One of the most common narratives is that their closeness is nothing more than fan service. Something performed for the audience. But when you really look at the patterns, that assumption doesn't always hold up. Most of their shared moments don't come from deliberate posts. There are no explicitly curated photos of just the two of them. No live streams designed to highlight their bond. Instead, many moments come from indirect sources. People who happen to see them together, reports from places they visited, or unplanned situations that weren't meant to be public. Which suggests that much of their interaction exists in private spaces, not as something staged for attention. Because if attention were the goal, it would likely be far more visible. And that subtlety is exactly what makes people question things. Comparisons often arise when Taeyong is mentioned. He has openly shared moments with Jungkook, and those interactions are usually embraced positively, seen as cute, natural, and genuine. So why does the reaction sometimes change depending on the context? It becomes clear that perception is deeply influenced by personal bias. What feels natural in one situation can feel forced in another, depending on who's watching. There are even narratives that try to frame one person as the victim and the other as the cause. But many of these claims lack solid grounding, often reflecting fandom-driven storytelling rather than reality. And if you reverse the perspective, you can create an entirely different narrative that still sounds convincing. But sounding convincing doesn't make it true. At the end of the day, what people often forget is that they've spent years together. Their relationship isn't simple. It's layered, evolving, and impossible to define through a single lens. Everyone expresses themselves differently. Some are more open, others more private. Both are equally valid. So back to the rainbow photo. Are those two figures really Jimin and Jungkook? Or is it just coincidence amplified by imagination? The truth is, we may never fully know. And maybe that's what makes it so special. Because sometimes, it's not certainty that makes a moment meaningful, but the curiosity it leaves behind. A single image can turn into an endless space for discussion, interpretation, and emotion. One small frame, one subtle detail, yet powerful enough to make an entire fandom pause, look closer, and feel something deeper. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think it was really Jimin and Jungkook behind that rainbow? Or just a coincidence we've taken too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you noticed something others missed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with fellow ARMY. See you in the next Jikook Universe video.